The Austro-Hungarian Empire is often remembered as a controversial chapter in Central European history, garnering some interesting comments whenever I talk about it. Ethnic tensions and political struggles aside, the empire left behind an architectural legacy of breathtaking beauty. From grand boulevards to ornate theaters, its buildings still define the skylines of many cities across Central Europe. What's fascinating is that this story begins not with construction, but with destruction, the tearing down of Vienna's old medieval walls. And this led to the development of Central Europe's unique and outstanding aesthetics. Hi, I'm Anna, Transylvanian villager. I make videos about random topics related to Central and Eastern Europe, and I brought back my old avatar due to popular demand, because I can be very easily swayed by your comments. Today I tell you how demolishing Vienna's old city walls sparked an architectural transformation that spread across Central Europe.
But Hungary isn't Central Europe, it's Eastern Europe.
Okay, chill out. Hungarians lost enough in Trianon, let them at least keep their status as Central Europeans. And as someone who spent the past few years traveling across the old empire, I can show you my own footage of some of the best examples. Hopefully this video will help you understand my bizarre obsession with a certain Austrian architect duo that I cannot shut up about. But before that, we'll need to discuss the very brief history of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. So I implore my Romanian, Slovakian and Croatian viewers to stay calm. We are only discussing some buildings, no political agenda here. So without further ado, let's dissect this topic. Austria-Hungary, also known as the Dual Monarchy, was a multinational empire from 1867 to 1918, uniting Austria and Hungary under one monarch but keeping separate governments. It was one of Europe's great powers, but constant ethnic tensions, inequality, and the lack of unity made it fragile. So when World War I added more pressure, the empire collapsed, yet its cultural legacy is still visible today in our cities. Their most lasting impacts began with Emperor Franz Joseph I's decision to tear down Vienna's medieval walls, because, as a wise person said once, sometimes things have to fall apart to make way for better things.
Sometimes things have to fall apart to make way for better things.
This happened in the area known today as Ringstrasse, a grand boulevard lined with monumental buildings in different revivalist styles, like Neo-Renaissance for museums and opera, Neo-Gothic for the town hall, and Neoclassical for parliament. These buildings inspired architects across the empire to follow their examples, and over time they began to mix and match different styles, creating a trend known today as eclecticism. In the late 1890s, however, a new movement challenged historicism, Vienna Secessionism, introducing clean lines, modern materials, and restrained ornament. Both styles are present today in cities like Vienna, Budapest, Zagreb, Ljubljana, Bratislava, Brno, Rijeka, Varaždin, Maribor, Graz, and of course my own beloved Cluj-Napoca. So if you ever decide to visit these places, prepare to be amazed by their elegance and refinement. So let's take a look at some examples from each style and highlight some memorable names that contributed to this glamour. Historicism is an art style that draws inspiration from, yeah, you guessed it, historic styles, mainly ancient Greek, Gothic, Renaissance, and Baroque. One of the most popular historicist styles during the Austro-Hungarian era was Neoclassical, which revived the simplicity, symmetry, and grandeur of Greek and Roman buildings with large geometric forms, columns, minimal decoration, and blank walls. A prime example is the Vienna Parliament, designed by Danish architect Theophil Hansen, known for his Greek revival works in Athens and Vienna. This style was chosen to symbolize democracy and its connection to classical Athens. It features a Corinthian portico, meaning a covered entrance or porch supported by ornate columns, a marble facade, and bronze sculptures inspired by Greek temples. Other notable architects of this style were Herzog Fülöp Ferenc and Albert Schickedanz, who collaborated on museums in Budapest and designed the Millennium Memorial on Hero Square. The Museum of Fine Arts in Budapest features a neoclassical facade, a staircase, Corinthian columns, you know, those stereotypical ancient Greek columns with the elaborate decorations on top, and a sculpted tympanum, meaning the triangular decorative walls surface over the entrance, resembling Greek temples. Another epic example is Zagreb's Central Station, designed by Ferenc Paf, or Pa Ferenc, for you paprika enthusiasts out there. This is a neoclassical building with a pavilion-type facade, divided horizontally in three parts, a central section and lower side wings. Artists decorated it with lavish ornamentation and allegorical sculptures, including traffic on the central gable, cattle and hunting-related stuff, plus agriculture and industry. A much smaller scale example I found in Ptuj, admiring the portico of this old theater, which was originally built back in the 18th century but was renovated later in neoclassical style during this architectural boom. Another popular style was Neo-Romanesque, which was inspired by 11th to 12th century Romanesque architecture, featuring simple arches and windows. A great example is the work of Hungarian architect Szulek Frigyes, who mainly reconstructed old churches, but his most iconic design is the Fisherman's Bastion in Budapest, which has 7 towers representing the 7 chieftains of the ancient Magyars. The bastion's exterior has stone arches, stairways, and parapets, blending decorative design with medieval castle walls. And honestly, it's my favorite building in Budapest. Too bad it's always swarmed with tourists, and I don't like tourists, says the average tourist. Neo-Romanesque architecture was also popular for churches, thanks to Richard Jordan, the architect, not the 80s American actor.
I'm a politician, which means I'm a cheat and a liar. And when I'm not kissing babies, I'm stealing their lollipops.
In Maribor, his Franciscan church features brick with stone, 2 bell towers, and neo-Romanesque arches, rosettes, and buttresses supporting the walls. And I really love how the simplicity in design is overshadowed by the contrasting colors of the red bricks and green rooftops. Valent Morandini's neo-Romanesque design of the Varaždin synagogue features a 3-part facade with an arched central section and 2 side towers with bulbous domes, arched portals, and windows. Neo-Gothic architecture is the 19th century revival of medieval Gothic, and it features pointed arches, ornate facades, ribbed walls, you know, those skeleton-like ceilings, a tall, slim tower called spires, combining brick and stone with decorative sculptures. One iconic example is the Vienna City Hall, designed by Friedrich von Schmidt, whose work can also be seen in Bucharest for some reason. Although this building is primarily neo-Gothic, it includes some Renaissance elements. Its design features a central risalit, or the projecting part of a building's facade that extends from the wall, topped with a 98-meter tower, 4 smaller side towers, and open arcades on the ground floor. The facades are decorated with statues of emperors, allegorical figures, professionals, and symbolic reliefs. Another example is the Budapest Parliament, designed by Imre Steindl, or Steindl Imre, and this one is a beautiful behemoth. It's 271-meter length, runs along the Danube with a 96-meter central dome, symmetrical wings, and flanking towers. The facade includes Gothic ornamentation and decorative work inspired by Carpathian flora. Neo-Gothic style was often used for church renovations and reconstructions, and thanks to the constant earthquakes and fires, no region needed it more often than today's Croatia. And if you want to know more details about that, watch my video about Varaždin. That city has suffered a lot. Similarly, after the 1880s earthquake, Hermann Bolle was tasked to rebuild the Zagreb Cathedral, adding tall spires, a reddish andesite columns, a glazed copper roof, gargoyles, statues of saints, and a growing vaulted nave, which sounds weird for some reason.
Spare me your juvenile wit, please.
Of course, one tower was severely damaged in the 2020 earthquake again, and the reconstruction is taking forever. Although Neo-Gothic was mainly used for churches, civic buildings, and universities, some wealthy goobers also commissioned residential palaces in this style. The famous Transylvanian pharmacist and professor Székely Miklós hired Pat Samu, the designer of Budapest's Grand Market Hall, more on that later, to build the beautiful Székely Palace. I walk by this building almost every day, and each time I need to take a second to admire the exposed brick exterior with stone details on portals, windows, arcades, friezes, and cornices. It really makes my brain go wow every time I see it. Similarly, Neo-Renaissance architecture is inspired by the Italian Renaissance.
It's a me, Mario!
It features symmetrical facades, columns, arches, and pediments. It was popular for museums, libraries, and government buildings, emphasizing culture, learning, and civic pride, often with stone or stucco exteriors, meaning those walls covered with a plaster-like coating, and it's decorated with friezes or decorative bands running along a wall, often near the top, and reliefs or carvings that stick out slightly from a flat surface. The Vienna State Opera has Renaissance-style facades with two sculptures above the main loggia. You know, that roofed open-sided gallery or porch with columns showing winged horses guided by harmony and the muse of poetry. The building has a narrower front with the auditorium and public rooms, and a wider rear containing the stage and backstage areas. Its roof combines vaulted, hipped, gabled and French styles, and the traverse wings display the Austro-Hungarian monarchy's coat of arms. Alexander Wilhelmans von Monteforte was a master of this style, as seen in Vienna's Palace of Justice. The building has a monumental symmetrical appearance with a historic roof, glass domes and richly decorated sculptures and ornaments. His other important work includes the reconstruction of the Graz Town Hall, which combines neo-Baroque and neo-Renaissance elements. Another example is the Adria Palace, designed by Franjo Matjasic or Francesco Mattiasi, and completed in 1895. It has two facades, one of them facing the port, and it was inspired by high Renaissance architecture. Baroque portals with stone pillars emphasize its monumentality, and decorative sculptures depict allegories of seamanship on the seaside and continents on the square side, representing Asia, America, Africa, and Europe. Similar buildings are scattered all around the old empire, including the Esterházy Palace of Bratislava, the National Museum of Slovenia in Ljubljana, the Maribor Post Office, the Varaždin Post Office, and the Post Office Palace in my Cluj-Napoca. The Czech National Bank of Brno is also a great example of 19th century neo-Renaissance architecture, built in the 1890s. Neo-Baroque architecture revived the drama and grandeur of 17th and 18th century Baroque with domes, staircases, and ornate decoration, often for palaces and government buildings with lavish frescoed interiors. The Metropolitan Erwin Szabó Library is a multi-story neo-Baroque building with decorative moldings, cornices, pilasters, and sculptural details. And it's kind of funny that I spent a lot of time in this area and I had no idea what the building was.
Hey, this is library!
So I'm really curious, which historicist style do you like the most? Drop a comment with your answer. Of course, these styles were often combined, mixing neoclassical, neo-Renaissance, and neo-Baroque elements for a striking effect.
Stop right there!
I just found out that you're not subscribed to my channel.
Why?
Subscribe. Eclectic style in architecture mixes elements from different historical styles to create something new. Architects combine features like structural details, decorations, or cultural motifs based on what suits the building, and this style was popular in the 19th and early 20th centuries and could include Gothic, neoclassical, Baroque, and other influences in a single building. And luckily, my beloved city, Cluj-Napoca, has some exquisite examples. Hotel Continental is an eclectic building mixing neo-Baroque and classical elements designed by Pákai Lajos. The cultural casino in Central Park was inspired by Germany's Sanssouci Palace, I'm pretty sure I butchered that name, and built in an elegant 19th century European style with a large terrace and fountain. And yes, it's the place where Mr. Beast was sitting on that one clip, and I'm kind of convinced that he didn't realize this wasn't the gambling kind of casino. It actually never hosted gambling, but held balls, weddings, and other events, and later cultural institutions. The nearby Kios event hall was also designed by the same architect. The Palace of Justice in Cluj is often overlooked due to being surrounded by other important buildings, but it's absolutely stunning. It has an irregular quadrilateral shape featuring two entrances with porticos supported by four Doric columns. Now, Doric refers to the Doric order, which was one of the three orders of ancient Greek and later Roman architecture, and the other two were Ionic and Corinthian. Its facades are decorated with friezes, garlands, vegetal motifs, and finely sculpted human figures on arches, windows, and cornices. Many decorative elements are made of terracotta, with some special stones made in Vistia. Yay, Kalataszeg mentioned! And yes, even today a large number of that area's population works as stonemasons, and their work is still used in construction, especially when it comes to renovating old historic buildings in the city. The roof is covered with fish scale, eternity ties, and wrought iron details. The Vajdahunyad Castle in Budapest is a real Frankenstein's monster, designed by Ignác Alpár in 1896 as a unique eclectic mix of architectural styles including Romanesque, Gothic, Renaissance, and Baroque. And it was modeled after landmark buildings from across the old lands of the Kingdom of Hungary, especially the Corvin Castle in today's Romania. It's really just a copy-paste. The Budapest Keleti station built in the 1880s in an eclectic style by Rohlitz Gyula and Feketeházy János, combines elements from multiple historical architectural traditions. Its main facade features statues of James Watt and George Stephenson, while the interior is decorated with beautiful frescoes. Neo-Renaissance and Neo-Baroque were the most popular styles to combine, often enhanced with classicist features, and this combination was commonly used for theaters and opera houses, so you know what time it is.
1, 2, 3. I like good pussy and I like good trees. Smoke so much weed you wouldn't believe, and I get more ass than
Hermann Helmer was a German architect who mainly worked in Austria and joined Ferdinand Fellner Sr.'s firm after training as a bricklayer. The Varaždin Theatre was his first theatre project, where he also met his wife and they frequently visited the city later. #relatable. But after Ferdinand Fellner Sr.'s death, Helmer teamed up with Fellner Jr., founding the famous studio Fellner and Helmer, which designed over 200 buildings across Europe in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. And at that time, many old theaters had burned down due to candles and flammable materials, and they were commissioned to replace them. And that happens so often that sometimes I wonder if these guys have intentionally burned down theaters to be commissioned to build new ones. They mastered combining multiple historicist styles, especially Neo-Renaissance with Neo-Baroque, and their buildings weren't just pretty, but they were safe and sturdy. I mean, come on, the Odessa Theater had been bombed to hell and back, yet somehow still survived multiple wars. I mean, to be fair, Ukrainians tend to go to the extra mile to protect this building. The Mahen Theatre of Brno, their first surviving collaboration, combines Neo-Renaissance symmetry with Neo-Baroque grandeur, featuring a monumental facade with a central projection, sculptures, niches, and a grand staircase, and a columned portico. And I love this building so much, it's my phone's wallpaper. The Ivan Zaitz Croatian National Theatre in Rijeka has a Neo-Renaissance exterior and a lavish Neo-Baroque interior, and its facade features a tympanum by two Viennese sculptors and roof corners adorned with 4 sculptures by a Venetian artist. The Old Slovak National Theatre of Bratislava shows the same style in a symmetrical composition with decorative moldings and sculptural details. Its central projection features sculptures, niches, and a columned portico. And this one is my lovely travel companion's favorite building, who uses a photo of this as a wallpaper. The Graz Opera has a neo-Baroque design but lacks the typical portico due to World War II damage, and later designs included twin towers like the Croatian National Theatre of Zagreb, which has 2 smaller towers flanking the entrance, a portico, and decorative busts of Croatian poets and composers. One of their most notable works is in Cluj-Napoca, the Lucian Blaga National Theatre. It features a richly ornamented neo-Baroque facade with Secessionist influences, symmetrical composition, and a blend of monumental form, decorative richness, and modern theatrical function. But I've got to be honest with you, the seats inside are uncomfortable as hell. Last time I sat through a 3-hour Tchaikovsky ballet there, I discovered bones I didn't even know I had, because they all hurt. These eclectic buildings demonstrate how architects skillfully blended multiple historic styles to create visually striking and functional works, yet by the late 19th century some designers began to seek a break from historicist references altogether, favoring fresh forms, modern materials, and a new artistic vision, paving the way for the Secession. The Vienna Secession is an art and architectural movement related to Art Nouveau, emphasizing geometric modern designs over traditional historicist decoration. Its hallmark features include ornamental facades with floral or geometric motifs, use of new materials, and minimal decoration. The movement marked the transition towards modernism, creating straight lines, cubic forms, and simplified interiors. Otto Wagner, the architect, not the I swear to God, it's so hard to find information on these Austrian architects because there were a lot of Nazis with their names who usually pop up in the search results. But Otto Wagner was a key Austrian architect who helped bring Vienna into the 20th century with his modernist and Art Nouveau style. The Austrian Postal Savings Bank bank, designed by Wagner, features marble slabs with aluminium accents. Decoration is minimal, using polished steel and glass, and office spaces are arranged to maximize daylight. The Karlplatz metro station is crafted from iron and marble, adorned with lavish decoration. It's the only metro station in Vienna that is served by 3 major metro lines. Lucky bastards, we can't even have one here. This building remains an iconic symbol of Viennese modernism and serves thousands of commuters every single day. Church of St. Leopold at Steinhof is one of Wagner's major works, with a golden dome in a Byzantine style, and it's giving Eastern Europe. Its towers hold seated statues of St. Leopold and St. Severin, and the church is oriented southwards with a decorative frieze of crosses and laurel wreaths. And if you watched my world history and travel videos, you might remember that Ljubljana has quite a few great examples of Art Nouveau architecture as well. For example, the People's Loan Bank in Ljubljana, inspired by Wagner, was designed by Josip Vancas, who did a lot of work across Bosnia, Croatia and Slovenia during the Austro-Hungarian era and later during the Yugo era. The bank features basket-handled gables, bow windows and ceramic decorations with blue ties on the lower floors and plant motifs above. The central projection has a large 3-part window topped by figures symbolizing industry and wealth, and wrought iron railings with plant and gold flower motifs decorate the balconies. He also designed the City Savings Bank and the stunning Grand Hotel Union in Ljubljana and the first Croatian savings bank in Zagreb. The Urbanac house, Ljubljana's oldest department store, was designed by Friedrich Sigismund. The entrance features a semicircular glass and wrought iron canopy, while the walls are adorned with plant motifs and etched glass windows, and the building is topped with a statue. Inside, an ornamented wooden staircase is supported by columns and decorated with a statue symbolizing craftsmanship. The Croatian State Archives in Zagreb, designed by Rudolf Lubinski, combines early Vienna Secession with modern European styles, using reinforced concrete and iron. Its central reading room has a high half dome supported by 4 pillars with owls holding globes, and the facades feature sculptures representing philosophy, law, medicine, and theology and librarianship. Now, someone called me out for forgetting to talk about this building when I made my video about Rijeka.
Shame! Shame!
So here we go, the Carolina Rijeka Commercial Center, designed by Emilio Ambrosini, modernized an older building featuring open balconies, semicircular loggias, wrought iron railings, floral motifs, chestnut leaf reliefs, and curved iron structures supporting the roof canopy. My favorite one is a building in Brno nicknamed the Beehive, which originally served as a rental house for the Association of Industrial Clerks. It is topped with a large corner dome shaped like a beehive, symbolizing the hardworking and thrifty nature of the financial institution. The building features a secessionist facade with plant and animal motifs, referencing a return to nature, and I absolutely love all the intricate details on it. It was designed by Ludwig Baumann, who also collaborated with Fellner and Helmer on the construction of Vienna's Concert Hall and Academy of Music. Hungarian architects added their own twist to this style, creating the Hungarian Secession, which blended the expressive freedom of Art Nouveau with traditional Hungarian folk art and distinctive Eastern motifs, because I told you before, Hungarians like to put these symbols on literally everything. This movement was a conscious effort to showcase Hungary's unique national identity and set itself apart from established European styles. The master of this style was Lechner Ödön, whose buildings can be found mainly in Hungary but also in Transylvania, Vojvodina and Upper Hungary, I mean Slovakia. His most iconic work is the Church of St. Elizabeth, also known as the Blue Church in Bratislava. Its most striking feature is the vibrant blue color of its facade, roof, mosaics and decorative tiles. And good thing it's in Bratislava and not in Hungary, because over there people eat churches.
Templomevés, Szent Eledel húsvétkor.
This church has an oval ground plan, a cylindrical tower, a barrel-vaulted roof, and entrances and windows framed with Romanesque-style pillars. The blue tiles and the wave-like strip add to its unique appearance. The Royal Postal Savings Bank in Budapest is another masterpiece by Lechner, and the building is notable for its green and yellow roof tiles, curving ornate lines, and iconic facade decorations with bees and flowers. It also features colorful maiolikas, those brightly colored glazed ceramic tiles used to beautify type buildings. And last but not least, the Great Market Hall in Budapest is the city's largest indoor market, designed by Pet Shamu. The building has a steel structure and a colorful tiled roof, combining neo-Gothic and Hungarian Secessionist elements. So that's it, folks. That's all the pretty buildings I have for you today. Throughout Central Europe, historicist and modernist movements reshaped cities with striking theaters, banks, libraries, and public buildings, and architects blended styles like Neo-Renaissance, Neo-Baroque, Neo-Gothic, and Art Nouveau to create functional spaces that were also visually impressive. Innovators like Otto Wagner, Lechner Ödön, and of course my beloved Fellner and Helmer left lasting legacies combining artistry, technology, and urban planning. Many of these buildings continue to serve their original purposes while also standing as cultural landmarks. Together, they reflect a period of architectural experimentation that bridged tradition and modernity. And that's exactly what makes the vibes of these cities straight afire. So if you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up. If you want to know more about these buildings, you can check out my travel and history playlist and subscribe, or the cup or the cow will grate you. Thanks for tuning in and have a nice day.